HVU. And I just wanted to remind everyone we've got a little bit of time left before our special goes out, where you get a free tube of Renew 28 when you make a qualified purchase of the Asaya Blue. And so for any questions on that, the information is in the description. And we've got Miki Klann with us tonight. It is so exciting. We were on the phone, you and I, and we just rose to frequencies and dimensions that were so incredible. As we spoke, we lit each other up, and it was so beautiful.
Thanks so much for having me, Candy. I'm excited to be back on your channel. I just love you to death, and thanks for calling and, being a dear friend. We're all in this together, aren't we?
We are, absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like it's time to bring back the conversation about light work. I feel like it's really time for us to learn the quantum physics of it and remember who we are and why we came here.
The information that you were sharing the other night is just powerful. So is that what you're bringing tonight?
Yeah, well, I kind of set off on a path to learn more about the laws of the universe, learn more about what Jesus meant when he said, "You are the light of the world," and to understand how we can each light it up. So what I'm understanding now, which I think is just really, really super important for the people who are here, the army of the 144,000, we came here on a mission. And if we wanted the mission to be easy, we probably should have chosen a different mission. But basically, there's just tremendous divine intervention happening right now. There was a 150-year plan to take us out. There was extreme premeditation. We live in a mentalist reality, which is good and bad, because that means that we are somewhat dependent on a collective consciousness, but it means that we have the power to shift things through mind energy, through focus, through love, through light. Okay, so let's talk first about quantum physics. I was watching Dr. Greer on Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and he was explaining how all these physicists were trying to understand how this phenomenon was happening. They had a room, like a 10-foot by 10-foot room, and imagine a light on a swivel in the center of that room. So the light's on a swivel. You stick a plant directly in the center of the room under the light, and the plant can thrive because it's receiving the light, right? But if you move that plant, you move it to the corner of the room, and you come back a week later, the swivel is now pointing at the lamp. The swivel has turned at the plant. So now you have the light pointing at the plant after a week. And the scientists are sitting there trying to figure out, so is it the light that was drawn to the plant, or was it the plant that drew the light? How in the heck are the plants bending light? And how are they using light and bending light to create photosynthesis?
And what if the plant's light and the light's light are both alive and they drew each other?
Exactly. And so with the observer effect, things come alive when you pay attention to them, when you focus on them. Light is a form of a wave. Attention is a form of a wave. We are all basically radio antennas. We are transmitters and receivers. When people start to realize the power of their third eye, that it is a light, that it is a transmitter and a receiver, they're going to start learning how to bend light. So we have a tremendous amount of divine intervention happening right now, would you say? I mean, I'm pretty sure we were done for without it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's time now for us to learn how to accept the light, because a wave is just an offering until it's observed or received. It's a photon, an angel of light. And once it's received, it can then turn into a particle. So it becomes reality once received. But I could be sending good intentions to you all day long, and if you don't receive them, then it doesn't become reality.
You know, that receiving part, I once heard a statement that said that things shine and things glow, things are bright and things just emit all this energy because it wants to be seen.
It wants to be seen. That's the plant wanting the light. But see, the light wants the plant too, because the plant is glorious in and of itself. And you are glorious. You, 61 Miracle 61, you are perfect in every way. The thing is, though, that if there's no light in the room, and for example, like a flower can't bloom without light. So when the story of Genesis started, and basically God put enmity, says God, I'm really wondering about that whole story these days, guys. Put enmity between the woman and the serpent. I actually think there was enmity happening between the woman and the serpent, meaning the serpent or the dark forces came and separated man from woman. They started to confuse us, and they took away the light of the woman. They took the attention of the man towards something else. And I'm talking about a lot of things here. I'm going to bring it back to the masculine and the feminine energies, but let's focus first on just the divine intervention coming from above. Let's just assume there's light coming from above, and we now need to receive it, transmit back, and then we need to give it to each other and start to shine from it. Because we are light workers. Light workers bend light. Light is the new reality. So the reason that things got so dark was because there was a negative agenda. There was an agenda to remove all light from our planet. You know, there was a 100-year war, and they planned 3 world wars, and they knew how to change or to redirect our focus into dark energies, or into things that took our focus off each other, because we are ultimately the law of one. When we shine light on each other, we become one. But when we shine light on things like sports all the time, or work all the time, or video games all the time, or pornography, this is not light work. This is sending focus and wave offerings to be accepted on a computer. It's lost. It's energy lost.
I feel the difference in my whole light being. When I have, you know, when you get onto TikTok and you look at those videos, and all of a sudden you look at the time, you're like, what the fuck, where did that hour go? You just get so sucked into that, or playing a game. I can feel there's a difference in my life energy.
And that's why they want us to meditate, is to recharge. That's why they want us to like lay in the sun. And by the way, this is the 3-year delta today, February 22nd, 2023. It's 3-year delta of the day we received a brand new sun, according to Judson White. We also received a new star named Spica. So it's time to start drawing in the energies of the new sun. There is massive divine intervention. Sun codes and light codes are being given to us now in order to come alive, to activate as light workers. And so the first goal is to start meditating to receive the offering. Because again, think of light as being a wave offering. It is only a photon until you receive it, then it becomes a particle, and nothing manifests in this realm without a thought first. Nothing. You don't do anything without having a thought of doing it first. So they want us to think the word premeditation is bad, but premeditation is necessary to hold the light in a given realm, wouldn't you say? And wouldn't you say there's been a power transfer? As in, it went from evil, trying to take over the entire planet, and if they were going to do it, we'd be dead by now. You know, let's just face it. There are incredible light workers that came before us, even before our activation, and saved our world.
Well, do you remember, this was a few years ago when we were hearing the death of many different naturopaths, and we're not hearing that anymore.
Right.
So it's
like
shifted.
The guns, they stopped.
Yeah.
There's that scene in Star Wars where they're like, wait, the guns, they stopped. And now it's like Beggar's Canyon back home. We got to just shoot our light straight into the Death Star. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, because it's total focus, and it's like you got to just let go and let God at this point, and just really learn your talents to And it's not easy, because as we all ascend, we come more and more and more into the light body. But we also have to learn to shine light on those we love and come up and down in ascension to be able to meet anyone where they are. It's time to ascend beyond ego, the need to be right, you know, the tendency to be at war with each other, because to move through karma is to enter into dharma and to leave the war behind. Because, you know, Jesus could simply walk up to anyone and find them where they were and lift them up.
Okay, so for our family, I want to give an example. Have you ever seen this happen or experienced it yourself, where you're like, oh yeah, well, la la la, and you're yelling at your kid, or get to your room, you're yelling at your husband, the phone rings and you're like, la la, hello? That means we have complete control.
Yeah, I was watching a video last night. I hope I don't mess this up, because it was a new concept for me, but it was basically saying you have an experience. It always happens in this order. You have an experience, and then you have a choice, then you have an emotion, and then you have an action. So it really goes in that sequence. You don't even have to react to anything if you don't want to. If you have total self-mastery, you have the experience, and then you have the choice. In other words, it goes free will, and then it goes emotion, and then it goes action. So it goes in that order. You actually get to choose before anything you ever do from this point on. Now you know that everything is free will.
Hello.
And that is the ascension, really, is choosing. So it's like, okay, I'm also learning that the fourth dimension is heaven and hell. It is angels and demons. It is the good angel and the demon sitting on your shoulder. You literally have to flick the demon who's like, I'm done. I don't want to listen to you again. You're out. You're in. Boom. And that's another thing. Like Nikola Tesla said at one point, no one even knows where a thought comes from. How often do we sit there and analyze, where'd that thought just come from? Where'd that anger just come from? Where'd that frustration, or where'd that joy just come from? Where'd it come from? And how do I tune into that more? I'm really not kidding here, guys. This is the quantum effect. It's literally quantum effect. So if I focus on the light more, it will come more. People literally almost need to swipe left, all things negative, and tune only into all things positive, and only invest your time, your focus, your attention, your money, everything. And all these people out there that complain about light workers trying to make a living, I mean, they need to let go, because what are you investing in? You got to take a minute, just one hot second, and ask yourself, what am I investing my money in? What am I investing my time in? Because whatever you're investing, you're manifesting. So if you want light workers, you need to invest in them. You need to love them. You know, you need to start to practice the work.
Wouldn't that be a very dull and dark day if all the light workers just went inside and closed the door and shut the shutters? I mean, if you think about what this world would be like without the light workers, and we think it's dark now.
Oh, it's about to get tough on us. This is why we're talking about light. This is the thing. We're going to have to hold the light pretty soon here, because although we won the war, we live in a collective conscious reality, which means that as people start realizing there might be something to be afraid of what they injected themselves with, they're going to start getting real scared. And that lowers the frequency of the density, you know, of the overall realm. So if we're not calling in light and focusing only on light and creating almost portals of light, like a temple, create yourself a space, a safe space, get into that meditative zone and start drawing in the light so that you can power up from it, and then power up each other from it. Join your tribe, your vibe attracts your tribe. Get strong with your tribe. Get strong in your temple. Get strong in that light, because you're going to need a lot of it here in the next year. Because as disclosures continue, and as people start getting fearful about what they've been avoiding, this is the ultimate human experience. The universe wants to become more aware of itself. It's the observer effect. We came here in the darkest of times, right? I mean, and you're talking about The devil or the dragon in the sky flung a third of the stars down here for the final battle. We are facing the final battle between, God and Satan. And the devil knows his time is short. Okay. But he'd gathered a third of his army, meaning there were a third of people that were so asleep that they were actually pushing the agenda. A third of the people were going along to get along. And then you had a third of us trying to fight through it, through the lies and trying to get everyone to see the truth. But now you're going to have that third that was going along to get along to realize, oh, wow, I need to join the army. So that's good. But then you're going to have that third that was in total resistance coming out of denial, and they're going to go through some fear. And we have to hold the light. And every single light matters. The third eye, let's talk about the third eye and the eye of Horus. Because they wanted to use that symbolism against us, but we need to take it back. Because the eye of Horus is the light. You are the light of the world. You are the light. It is the milk and honey. It is everything, right? Mm-hmm. They did so many evil things with that even this was intended to actually represent the export part of our body, because they were doing everything satanic. Mm-hmm. I don't know what words I can use. But they were also doing horrible things to. So, we are now taking that light back. We have to take that symbolism back, take it off the dollar bill, take it back, because we are the light of the world. And we are going to shine it up and receive the light from the divine intervention. And then we're going to shed that light to each other. And that is the law of one. When we take time to pay attention or focus on each other and heal each other, that's when we really gain strength and power among the light workers. And you're going to see a huge, and I was going to bring it back to the masculine and feminine, you're going to see a huge rebalancing between the divine masculine and divine feminine, because that draws even more light. Love is the strongest frequency in the world. And the Army of the 144 actually came down here to find their soulmates or their twin flame connections in order to gain power in this time. It's like Mercury coming together,
So the 144,000, that's got to represent, how there is one word, but they're spelled different ways, but sounds the same. What is a word like that? Dough and dough. Mm-hmm. The dough of a dare and the dough of bread, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's dough of money. So the 144, yes. And so the 144,000, I think, is a lot like that. It represents different things.
Well, I want to just present an option for people, because in the Bible it speaks of it does represent a lot of different things. This is a very sacred number, to answer your question, yes. But in the Bible it says that there would be a new sound. It's a Revelation chapter 14. I don't have it memorized, but I'll just try to give the concept, and that is that the army of the 144,000 would start to hear a new sound of harps. And though nobody else is tuning into it, we are. And so that is the sound of that light coming straight down. Imagine a light coming straight down in a big clearing in a forest. That's the sound of the light. It's a waveform. We hear it. We don't know where it's at, but we got to draw it to us now. You got to bend it to you. You got to find it by seeing it. You find it by seeing it through the observer effect. And just by changing the way you look at something, that thing starts to change. So just by waking up, everything starts to change. So, okay, like I said, a lot of people are afraid because it's like entering into the unseen realm is new. They know there's angels and demons. So who's talking to me right now? How do I know? How do I protect myself, right? So we were talking a little bit about how I've started to protect myself and how I've started to draw in the light. And I think it's really important that everyone start practicing this, because a lot of the stuff I come out with is all about, the corruption and here's how you get out of this situation. This is a matrix and blah, blah, blah. They've got us tied in all these contracts and blah, blah, blah. But before you deal with the physical realm, you must first start in the 5D realm and in the realm of intention, the realm of thought form. So think of, you have an idea, and then you write it down, you scribe it, and then you speak it into the realm. So you basically state your intention, and then you get agreement. People start to agree with you, and then maybe even start a business, and you start to formalize it into reality, right? Everything starts with an idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with an idea, and that idea is okay, I know I'm a sovereign. I know I'm a spiritual sovereign. I know there's good and there's bad. I want the good, only the good. So how do I protect myself and how do I set myself up on a trail that is in redirect my, boat on a path straight to where I want to go? Raft, boat, whatever. I like to be on a raft. It's like we're in a river and the river is the universe, and the universe is always moving us in the right direction so long as we know. It's always moving. It's in a constant state of motion. How about that? But it's good to know where you're going, right? And it's good to know how the realms work, because anything that you do when you set an intention sets you off on a new path. So what I do is I set up a spiritual trust. And so imagine a triangle. Okay, that's a trust. And in the top of the triangle, pointing straight up, is God, or all things higher order. So the executor or the grantor of my trust is God. We'll just say God. Anyone can use anything. You could say universe. You could say mother, the mother of, you got the Holy Father and the Holy Mother. You could say anything you want, but it's all things of the highest and greatest good for me. And then you've got on the bottom left of that triangle, you've got your trustee. You are the trustee because you are the mind, will, emotion, or, well, let's just start with spirit. You are the spiritual trustee, right? Because you are spirit first. Your spirit before you came here, your spirit when you leave here, your spirit first. And then the beneficiaries are all the Army of the 144, or anyone that you have as a dependent, or anyone that you want to set up as who is going to benefit from the works that you do here as a spirit body. So this is all in the 5D. And then what you do in that trust is you place your mind, will, emotion, which is, basically your free will. You place that in the trust. And then you also place your body, temple, in that trust. And all of your, like any of your residences or your temples, and wherever you live, anything that you own, you place in that trust. You place your children in the protection of that trust if they're under 18. And you say, okay, now I seal this and I operate only in the private, meaning only those of the highest and greatest intentions for me can access my trust, period. And I want to be sovereign, meaning I don't want to have any contracts in this three-dimensional reality. That's my intention for my trust. Okay. And so once you do that, now you can start trusting, because you're operating in trust, air, which is what Jesus was teaching. You can start trusting the voices coming to your mind as being wave offerings, positive wave offerings. And when you receive them, you can either choose to put them in motion and accept them, or you can choose not to. Again, this is a free will realm, right? So once I set up that spiritual trust and I set up that intention, everything in my life started to come into alignment, and I started to break from the matrix, the contracts of the matrix. And I'm now to a point where I own my land patent. I'm setting, literally tomorrow, I'm setting up my private bank account, operating in the private, in my own trust. I've started to organize my artwork, and I'm putting all my art and my works into my trust. In the physical, and this was something I didn't know how to do when I first did this. I didn't know how I was going to do all this stuff, you know what I mean? But it all trickles down. It's almost like you set the intention in the 5D and everything will trickle down into the 3D reality. That's just how it works. It's almost like your 5D self is your puppet master.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up about the trust.
Yeah, because I think that we need to be able to operate without fear of the unseen realm now that we're aware of it. And we need to be able to talk about it more often, because another thing is that let's just say it like it is. I mean, there's things we just have to come right out and say, because I don't know why we were never felt comfortable talking about stuff like this before in this realm. But there's this scene in Star Wars where Luke says to Vader, "I will not turn. I will not turn, Father." And Vader looks at him and he says, "Well, if you won't turn, maybe your sister will." The devil does go after our loved ones. They go after anyone who's seemingly weak, or those that are letting in spirits, maybe through alcohol or through addictions. You know what I mean? And so when someone comes after us, sometimes they're coming at us from a different energy, maybe one that's not truly them. And we have to realize that we are holding the light. We don't need to be afraid of that at all. We just need to be aware of it and hold our honor, stand in sacred honor. You don't need to yell. You don't need to, you just need to stay at 0 point and say, yeah, you don't belong here. You know, you can do that through telepathy too. In fact, sometimes if someone's coming at you really strong, you can just start talking to them through telepathy and say, I love you. Yeah, that side of you doesn't belong here. I love you. Come to the light. And you'd be surprised how you just said you're yelling at your, someone might be yelling at you. You'd be surprised how fast you can turn them by just using telepathy.
Right.
Or you can say, you know, I'm going to give you an option to just bring it down a bit. In telepathy, you could say that. And they'll just be like, oh. And you don't even realize you could do that. But see, it's a wave offering. You're sending them a signal through the mind with a higher intention. And then they have the choice of receiving it or not. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, people learn because they don't necessarily think about those things, or those things aren't downloaded to them, or maybe they were and they just didn't catch it.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes light comes in and then we don't see it, and it ricochets and goes right back out, and we missed that one.
Sometimes if you want to hack the matrix and hack the mind, you could look at that as a firewall. So if I gave you a compliment and you blocked it, you put up your firewall, and it just ricocheted right off, you're going to ask yourself, wait a minute, why do I have a firewall here? Who put that there? Is this a subliminal? How do I get rid of it? Why don't I feel worthy? Why don't I work on this? You know, and get rid of all the firewalls so that you can start receiving. Because we are meant to receive.
Yes. Yes.
And we are meant to give.
Yes. Yes. Everything must be balanced.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like I said, I think that there's been such a holy war going on. They put us in such a state of war that we almost have to step out of ourselves, observe from above, and say, okay, why am I in a state of war right now? Why am I choosing this negative feeling? Where did it come from? Let's just look at it without any judgment. So when you said we all need to kind of, you know, maybe go and meditate, you know, shut the shutters and just be still for a minute, you can start going into every single room of your spiritual mansion and start cleaning it up a little bit.
Don't forget to look under the carpets.
Under the carpets. Yes, under the carpet, maybe under the rug. I don't know if it's easy to clean under a carpet, but maybe just renovate.
Right.
But you know, but yeah, it's like you almost have to go into each of these rooms and find the light switch and understand, where'd this thing come from? Why are there monsters in this closet? You know, why did I leave them in there for so long? Why didn't I go understand what this was? And I got to tell you, there's been such a spiritual war going on for so long. It's like they dialed down all the love and they dialed up all the, you know, the war, the hate. I mean, kids are literally just sitting there playing video games where it's like first man shooter. They're being taught how to war from day one. You know, this is not normal, guys. Like if you go back and you watch these love movies from like the 70s, 80s, or 90s, it's totally different. It's night and day from what you can see right now in the movie theaters. Night and day. Same thing with love songs. You know, it's like, whoa, why? Since when did it become uncomfortable to talk about love? Do you know what I mean? Like, whoa, something's really wrong here, you know? Because if we don't shine light on each other, if we don't love each other, we will not be able to hold this light going into the next phase.
I remember when I started looking at that word love and how it made me feel. And I was recognizing it outside of myself first. So I would notice someone would say, I love you. And I'm like, oh, I like that. And then someone else would say, sending you love. My thoughts and my love are with you. And I'm like, well, that's very different. I mean, where's the personal touch with that? And so I began to see that there were different ways that people express love depending on how they love themselves.
Yes.
And how much they had worked through all of the different reasons why they didn't love themselves. And they looked at it. If you bring everything out and stick it on the table, like just put it on the table, which is presenting it to the world. This is another reason why Kid and I are so transparent. One time, one of my family members asked me, why do you share those things that go on inside your family? That's private. And I said, because secrets kill.
We're about to all be telepathic, so get over it, people.
Yes. And so the way you talk to people, and I really want you to pay attention to this, family, the way you say, I'm sending my love. Pay attention to that, because then that will help you explore, why can't I say, or why don't I feel comfortable, or why is it embarrassing to say, I love you? And I began to even see that I had some false notion that if I said I love you, all of a sudden I was putting myself in a corner, like I had to really love.
Yeah. All of that is so true. I resonate completely with you, what you're saying. I mean, I made a video about a year ago about rewriting your programming. And if you look in the mirror and you're not thinking something positive, then you're not self-loving. You're not in the practice of self-love. You have to become observant of the words you're using in the mind, because every word has to be put in captivity now. Every word, every negative thought. And it's a record player. It just almost becomes a pattern of behavior. And the easiest way to rewrite that is to change the variables. So if you're looking in the mirror and you go, I don't like what I see, you say, I love what I see. I love it. And just fake it till you make it. Just go over and over and over. Or like I said, meditate and find all your greatest qualities. Write them down. Shine light on your greatest qualities. Don't focus only on the negative qualities. Because if you shine light on yourself first, you can start blooming, and then you can shine light on others. Also, you can draw it in. Or you can even be inspired, because Trump has shed more light on this realm than any man in the spotlight right now. And obviously we know JFK Sr. and Jr. are also working very hard behind the scenes, and Princess Diana, hopefully. These are people that are shining their light. Melania is shining her light. Learn from the best. I feel like if everyone should go watch The Greatest Showman, because that is literally a white hat wake up movie. And the theme song is saying, basically, colossal, these renegades in the ring, which are the people we're watching, on the show. This is a huge movie. Colossal, these renegades in the ring, where the lost get found in the crowd of the circus cage. They need us to rise. We are in the crowd. It's time for us to rise now, for thy light it's the time. It's the time.
Oh, you said that with such passion. I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, we do. That's the challenge. That's what we came here to do. We are the Army of the 144. Anyone tuning into you has to know they're one of the chosen ones. We are old souls. This is not our first rodeo. They're waiting for us to rise. They've given us the freedom. They saved the world.
That was something that was given to me a couple days ago. Now that you mention it, I completely forgot it. I mean, things go in my head, and then a second later they're gone. And my husband's like, I just told you that. And I'm like, well, before is not the now moment anymore.
It wasn't important. Wasn't important. Yeah. Or your angels blocked you. They're like, no, wait, don't do that. Not yet. Not yet. No, but I mean, it's like, arise and shine, for your light has come. Can I read that verse? It's Isaiah.
Yes, please.
It's Isaiah 60. I can never spell Isaiah.
I'm going to grab my sweater.
A-I-A-H 60. It says, okay, and I've got the Tree of Life version. Let me change the version. What do we want? Version of the Bible do we trust these days? We'll do New International, even though that one too. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, it says, arise, shine, for your light has come. The glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Lift up your eyes and look about you. All assemble and come to you. Your sons come from afar. Your daughters are carried on the hip. Then you will look and be radiant. Your heart will throb and swell with joy. The wealth on the seas will be brought to you. To you, the riches of the nations will come. And that's because we're in the midst of a revaluation. We're in the midst of the rise of the divine, the army of the 144. We just didn't realize because there was so much information kept from us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of, I never thought it would get hard, to be honest, but I also probably wasn't thinking enough about the collective energies as the disclosure and this like sort of near-death event, or, you know, this big, I don't know, this thing that a lot have been speaking of that might come, and that is the real wake up. You know, you just got to jolt them out of their slumber. And this is that moment where the dead would rise in Christ, because it's the sleepers. We were all dead asleep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's mentioned in Thessalonians, the dead would rise in Christ.
It's so much revelation is coming in this awakening time of what those verses meant.
Exactly.
Holy fuck! It's so exciting.
Right? We're rising into the Christ consciousness, and no one will be left behind if they don't want to. It's glorious. It's
Ohana.
Really the most. What?
Ohana.
What does that mean?
Ohana is it means family, no one left behind.
Yeah.
It's Hawaiian.
Yeah. No one will be left behind. We're entering into the law of one. And all we have to do is draw that light to us. It's all about bending the light and accepting those photons as light waves, as light offerings, and making more offerings and becoming conscious of the offerings, becoming consciously aware that we are consciousness.
So, you know, there is no like trick to this. There's no formula that would make us all cookie cutters. So there's no right or wrong way.
Well, I will tell you this.
Yeah?
I will tell you this. There's some really good advice out there for anyone who wants to start to truly ascend and do the work, to go in and do the work. Mm-hmm. You literally just have to start trusting your intuition.
Yes.
And it's not as easy as it sounds. But, you know, even Jason Q says it all the time. Israel is a project. Why? Why is Israel saved for last? Why? Because Israel is real. Your thoughts are real. Your intuition is real. It is the path unwinding. So when you ask yourself, wait, is this real? I have this premonition. I have this intuition. Is this real? Just say yes. That's all you gotta do. Just start saying yes all the time.
If you
just go. Just stop preparing. Just go.
If you guys didn't catch what she just said, ISREAL is real.
It is.
It is real.
And it's the Isle of Real in the brain. It's called, that's the third, it's the Isle of Real 110. I mean, I
haven't heard that one.
Yeah. ISLE of Real, REIL, I think. And that's what it's called. I'll actually give you some links because there's some amazing stuff coming out. We are the tree of life. Our bodies are capable of so much more than we thought. And the power of a positive thought, the power of receiving this light is more powerful than anything the devil can ever throw at us. Because when we take on our light bodies and we realize that we are basically a three-dimensional being, or we hold a three-dimensional avatar, but there's a light being that's carrying the energy throughout that three-dimensional avatar. We are light beings. And when we start emanating through the light being and quit emanating through the fake, whatever this thing is, you know, I'm just joking, I don't know. The avatar, when we start emitting, emoting, we merge as a light being. That's divinity. That's 5D. That's mastering the mind, will, emotion, and ego minds. You know, that's when you step into what is the light of the world, what is important. And you do that by trusting your intuition, because your intuition knows exactly how to guide you. And it does mean breaking some of your patterns.
So can we do a little deep dive on what it might look like to trust the intuitive part of yourself? What?
Yes. Let's do that. I'm gonna give some tools. Do you want to ask, or do you want me to go?
You go.
Well, there's two very easy things you can do right out the gate. Songs. The universe is always sending you the right song for you. Just start tuning in to the songs, because the songs will guide you down a whole path, literally, and you'll start feeling more energy from certain songs. And then you'll just like, they invoke something in your intuition. It's like it jars you open. So trust the music, trust the lyrics. Anything you're tuning into is giving you a message. Okay? And then change your playlist up as the song no longer is resonating. So just keep taking it in and let it be as loving as you want. I don't care what songs you listen to, just let it be joyful, you know? That's one. The other one is gematria. People, I know Jason's like a big anti, but he also loves numerology, so he understands the value of numbers. The reason gematria is so powerful is if you think of a word and your spirit guides say, look that up, what you're doing is you're going to now join that word with an intention. So you look it up at gematrix.org. And you look up the word that's resonating with you, or that your spirit guides tell you to look up, or maybe you see some kind of a spirit animal when you're out walking one day, you look it up. And what you do is you just go through the whole list of everything that is meaningful to you, and you write them down. And all that's doing is it's painting a bigger picture of what you're manifesting right now unconsciously.
GEMATRIX, right?
Yeah. .org. And that I started to just write down in a notebook, you know, and just go back over my notes regularly, because see, again, we're learning to use the rest of our brain. It's that easy. I mean, we just didn't think we could trust it, but it is real. It's just real. So you guys are all powerful. Sorry to let you know, you know what I mean? Like, you have a lot more power than you think when you start accessing these other parts of your mind. The third technique I would say is just really start having visualizations. Trust them. I mean, you do it, I do it. That gave me a whole new perspective, because again, I don't want to trigger anyone, but a lot of information is coming out about some of the practices that have been kept from us. I'll just saw Rosicrucian. There's a lot of information coming out. But if you look upon something from multiple different angles, you can see it more clearly. Mm-hmm. Well, when you have a visualization of yourself, like, where am I in spirit? What am I working on in spirit? What am I doing up there? Right? That really gives you a whole new perspective of who you truly are, who your light body is, what you're really working on, what's really important to you, you know? And then when you can start seeing others that way, them in ways that they were never being illuminated, and then now you're providing them a whole new perspective of themselves, and you're seeing only the highest and greatest good in them, which makes it easier to lift them up. Mm-hmm. So the intuition guides us. You know, it really is a way to, again, it's the circle of life. It's the path unwinding. I mean, even Elton John knew all about this. So that path unwinding is intuition. It'll tell you exactly where you need to go, because it's your consciousness unraveling itself.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Yeah, think of this. You see this here? You see this silver? It's all like confused. Mm-hmm. Just follow it. Just follow the trail, you know? Just follow it, and it will unwind.
That reminds me of that song, and I can't even remember the tune of it, but remember the meatball that falls off the plate of spaghetti and then rolls off the table? Just follow the meatball.
Yes, follow the meatball. That's awesome. Or you could say, if you had a tangled ball of yarn, the only way to unwind that thing is to find the end points. You know? You can't just go straight to the center.
With a pair of scissors, you could.
You could. We don't want to do that. That would be defeating the point. But so let's talk about that. You are now becoming more consciously aware of yourself, which is the observer effect. And the universe wants that information. Mm-hmm. Remember, you're a transmitter, constantly transmitting to the universe. The universe is gaining intelligence by you gaining intelligence of yourself, which is just awesome because now we're co-creators in a whole new reality. And there's infinite big, infinite small, guys. So like just a visualization requires you to trigger every neurotransmitter in your mind, and then it builds a story, and then it becomes a story of your life. Because you start to apply it, everything starts with an idea. So there's that Sistine Chapel. There's that, painting, Michelangelo painting where, it's Adam and God, or and he can't quite touch him. But if you look at God in that picture, he's inside the right brain. He is the right brain. And if you start to merge, and of course they would like you to think they can't touch, but of course they can. And when you merge the left and the right brain, the left and the right hemisphere, you create, a synergy, a balance, a yin and yang of your own psyche. And we're getting our psyche back. We're being set free from a prison in the left brain, in a sense, because we got so far lost in a material world, in a world of masculinity. And I can even take that further if you want. This is getting into a dig that I did a while back.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really, really interesting. I wish I had graphics for you on this because I think it would ring home to people more. But when I came out with my story in the stars, which I think we probably need to regurgitate, let everyone know that the book of Revelation the prophecy has come true. We are now at the end of that prophecy. Okay. But it basically starts with a bridegroom coming out of his chamber to celebrate the champion to run the race. And you're looking at Jupiter going into Gemini. Now, Gemini consists of two characters, Castor and Pollux. Now, what people might not realize is Castor was the mortal and Pollux was the immortal. He was the immortal mind. So think right and left brain. So the right brain is the immortal mind, and the left brain is the mortal mind. Well, the deep state wanted to keep us in a state of total control system. So they wanted Prince William to be the Antichrist. And basically they had him born during a full moon lunar eclipse over the heel of the immortal Castor, the heel, because they wanted to keep us as a ruling class over the suffering laborer. But Jesus was the most powerful example of Gemini because he was the King of Kings who suffered for the people, right? So he represented both halves of the brain of the story of Castor and Pollux, or the story of Gemini. But anyway, so when they did that, their intention was to keep the ruling class in control over the right side, or the right hemisphere, the right brain. They didn't want us to access it. They didn't want us to know. And I can't believe how good they did. I can't believe how much we questioned our own mind, our own abilities, our own intuition, our own ability to premeditate a kingdom of heaven on earth, just through consciousness, just by coming together as light workers. And that is possible now. It was always possible, but Trump and the Kennedys proved it, right? I mean, it's amazing, really, what they've done to save the world and to get every country to capitulate. You know what I'm saying? That is unbelievably glorious. But if you now look at our role as the crowd of the circus cage, is to rise and to receive this offering, to receive this light, and to activate our right brain, to activate the divine feminine, and to bring balance back to that yin and yang so that we all are offered eternal life.
Wow.
That is the story of immortality. It's Operation Sunrise.
Operation Sunrise. How perfect is that?
Operation Sunrise 218. Yeah, you say 21 times 8 and you get 168, which is light, 168.
That's interesting.
We are Operation Sunrise because it's the dawn of a new age. That book ended at 22 chapters, I'm pretty sure. Revelation, let me just confirm that. Pretty sure. You got MAGA 22, follow the twos. Yeah. But it's also just very interesting learning about the twisted nature of the book of the book of Genesis. And, you know, I truly believe that we have almost been stripped from the mother goddess, or the divine mother. And, you know, the Kabbalion basically says there always has to be balance between the masculine and the feminine. We each have our own balance between masculine and feminine. When you join in partnership, you create balance between masculine and feminine. There's masculine and feminine in everything you see, right? But there's also masculine and feminine in the divine order of things. So for us to think there's just God and not a divine feminine, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it, is ridiculous if you think about it. So when, you know, in the book of Genesis, when it said that, you know, God created man in his image, and that God then created a woman for the man, I'm not so sure about that. I'm just saying, I kind of think that God made man in his image, and the divine mother made woman in her image, and then he made a perfect mirror of each, so that you have a perfect divine counterpart here, a twin flame, a mirror image of you. And when you find that mirror image of you, then you can really shine light on each other. Then you can really learn how to, you know, heal one another and create that perfect balance between yin and yang, because the men have extremely powerful understanding of the root chakra, the sacral, and the solar plexus, whereas women are incredibly powerful in the heart, the throat, and the third eye, which means we need each other. I mean, we got to stop warring with each other, you know, because they've turned us, this matrix, this agenda has confused gender like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why do you think they were turning kings and queens into the opposite sex? Why do you think they were creating, you know, these false idols that were opposite sex? I mean, they were confusing us, confusing our understanding. Because when you take a man and you turn it into a woman, you're turning to that woman thinking she's got an open heart, throat, and third eye chakra. It's very confusing energetically, keeping us confused and at war.
Isn't that something? I was just thinking about that today. I was at the store and I went down the aisle where their mugs were, and they had what is this? It's an older show with the 4 women, including Betty White. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, Golden Girls.
Yes, and they were on the mugs, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, I never knew that they were male when I was watching those shows when I was little.
They were male?
They look male.
Yeah, I heard it's kind of harder as they get older to hide. I don't know.
They really do. I was watching a movie last night, a series, and the mother hugged her son, and the camera was behind him, and her arms went around, and she had these massive hands. And then I was telling my husband, I said, you know, they're really good at camera lighting, camera positioning, to where you can't really tell that the woman is the same size as the man.
Yeah.
But if you look at the head, the man's head and the woman's head being the same, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause
You know.
women are just naturally shaped different and smaller to a degree. I mean, some women are big boned.
I'm pretty big. I'm like 5'10".
But you put yourself up next to a man,
Yeah.
a large man, and your head's going to be a little different than his.
Well, and I will say this too, you know, you were saying earlier that it's hard to break habits and matrix and stuff. I think that when women are in a state of fight or flight, you know, they tend to be more masculine in this realm because we're taught to be that way. I mean, I've been a businesswoman my whole life. I had to be among men. I was in the tech world. I mean, I was so outnumbered by men all the time. If I didn't speak like a man, act like a man, think like a man, I wasn't going to be successful, right? So for me to shed that persona and enter into my divine feminine and just be vulnerable is new. But at the same time, we also want men to be vulnerable. We want men to enter into their heroism. We want them to show their vulnerability. That's what's ultimately attractive to us, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to shift, you know, and to let go of all fear and surrender completely back into our divine feminine or masculine.
You know, my husband, he's it's never going to be the same for him. I mean, he's just woken up past that line.
Yeah.
And he was telling me the other day, he goes, I was scrolling through Facebook, and one of my friends said just the other day, everything is Trump's fault. And he goes, how is that possible? I mean, how long has Biden been in office? And it's still Trump's fault. The things that are happening now?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and I'm just smiling at him, seeing that he's seeing all of this. It's just really, really great. And by the way, family, just be patient. They will wake up, and don't push it. Don't struggle and stress over it.
Yeah.
Just chase your joy.
Well, and I also find that if I, because I have family members who feel the same, I think we all do at this point, if I just go back to all the best memories of them, and again, I just write down only the things that I just remember are the most loving, kind, funny memories. They're being programmed to be at war with me, but they can't exactly stay at war with me if I keep bringing it back to the joy. It's harder,
Well,
and it doesn't really matter what they
do.
Yeah, I just don't want to participate in that argument anymore. I'm kind of done with that experience. And that's just it. When you get done with the experience, you ascend past it. You no longer bring in the experience. I don't need to be right. I just want you to know I love you. I'm going to bring back some memories. I'm going to beat this programming, Watch me.
Let me give an example of that. Kids were little, and I bought a mattress, and then I changed my mind, and I got it from a guy who sells mattresses out of his home. And when I called him up and told him that I was going to change my mind, he yelled and screamed for 5 minutes. And when he was done, he goes, "Are you still there?" And I said, "Yes, I'm still here." And he goes, "Are you married?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Fuck, I would marry you in a minute." And that's what it does when you do not participate in their game.
Yeah.
It diffuses everything. So just an example.
And I also think that women have been taught to war with women, and men have been taught to war with men. I got to tell you, I'm really good at diffusing men. I'm not as good at diffusing women. I mean, I could just look at a man and be like, "Yeah, you need to calm down."
Why the challenge?
We'll talk about it in a minute when you calm down.
Why the challenge with women?
Because I think I have more wounds that I haven't healed from women. There's a lot of stabbing, backstabbing, I think. We've just, because we've been living in a realm where love is so sparse. There's a lot of fighting and
jealousy
and just projection and thoughts. And I've gone through lots of friend groups as I've ascended, just because I'm just blazing a trail. I don't know, I'm not looking back. And there's a lot of probably darts in my back, so it's when they come at me, I might trigger more. I'm just being observant without judgment than I am with men, because with men I'm just easily just loving, but with a woman I'm just like, oh, why do you gotta be so mad at me all the time? I could just I look for the women that are warm with me, the women that are comfortable, that I can lift up, but there's a lot of women that don't want to be lifted up. They just want to be mad at me for the situation they're in or something. And that projection is hard because I want to lift them up so bad. I want to calm them down, but I don't know the words. Men seem to calm down pretty easy. Is it just me? But women, they stay kind of mad.
Okay, so I forgot the guy's name, but he talks about the differences between men and women. And he said men have a bunch of boxes in their heads, and none of the boxes touch. So they have in the middle of their head a nothing box. And literally when you walk into a room and you say, "Honey, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Nothing." He literally means nothing. He's in his nothing box. And he has a box for his wife, he has a box for his family, he has a box for work, and he knows how to categorize everything. So when he's done with work, he leaves that box and goes into the nothing box.
Well, they're very focused. They're good at laser focus. It's like my
Because
consciousness is here, or my consciousness is there, or it's here. They're very, it seems like they're
yes.
lasers, whereas we're
Well,
like,
that's what he was saying. He says women don't have boxes; they have yarn that's all wrapped and ringled, and and everything is connected to everything.
everything is connected. They observe everything all the time.
Yes.
We're multitasking, yes.
And so when
Yeah.
women are injured, when they have those battle wounds, and they don't love themselves, Mickey, in my journey of healing, I was reminded of when my daughter was little and I went over to my mom's friend's house and I heated her food up. And I thought I cooled it off enough, and I gave her a little spoonful, and it burned her little mouth. And the friend said, "Oh, that must be too hot." Well, to me, that was, I could not handle one more criticism, anything, because my detest for myself was so much. My box was full. And I said to her, no, it's fine. I could not even look at that. But later on, I was able to address it when I was like, why did I do that? Obviously, it burned her. I saw that. So this is something that women deal with too when they have, here's a comment, a thought that I used to have, and I know that I represent many, many women, and that is, if those that birthed me and raised me did not find value in me, why would I find value in myself?
So that is something I've been testing over the course of the last year through introspection. Any woman just wants to be seen, just wants to be understood, just wants to be validated at some level. So there's always a place to come in and connect with her, to show, wow, I see you. I see what you're working on. I see your value. I understand you. I see how hard you worked at to make this plate, even though it came out a little hot, even though, your intention was good. You were there in the right place. Your heart was there. You know what I mean? And so if we can do that same thing inwardly and outwardly, to just go into the space, send the love focus wherever they are and meet them exactly where they're at and see their gifts, point out their gifts, raise their gifts into their mind and their attention. Again, that's one way to bring light as the observer effect. But it's hard to stay at that 0 point because we are easily triggered if we're wounded in the past. So again, got to go back through the wounds, clear them out, and then come back to that 0 point with women. But yeah, there's no one who triggers me more than my daughter because I'm trying so hard all the time. From the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed, you're trying so hard to be the best caregiver or mother or, even leader or example. Guardian. And then when they're like, hate, you're like, what did I do? I can't win. But that's not true. Of course you can win. You're winning just by trying. And sometimes you just got to go into the mind of the 8-year-old or the mind of the 5-year-old or the mind of the temper tantrum, whatever it is. And go into it. Go into the space. We are consciousness having a human experience and a human avatar, but ultimately you're just consciousness. So if we go into the space and we analyze it and we illuminate it, we are the light of the world. We're practicing light work. We're practicing light bending. We are in the practice of self-mastery. But I'm just being honest, and it is hard to bare our soul because I don't want to have any wounds from women. I want to love every woman I meet. And I want to lift every single woman. I want every woman to look in the mirror and love what they see. Love it.
So
sometimes I imagine a world with no mirrors, though. I won't lie. No mirrors. No more mirrors. I don't think they're helping us. And imagine if all you could see was out. You couldn't see yourself in the mirror. You would be a completely different person.
Yeah, you would. My friend keeps trying to get me to go to, he's been trying for years, a nudist. He goes, seriously, you know, you can't tell the rich from the poor. You can't tell the healthy from the sick. You can't tell when someone's struggling. Everyone is the same. And I said, let me work on that.
It's really funny you say that, because I just had that thought too. Like, if you go back to the Garden of Eden, Eve didn't mind walking around naked. She was a goddess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that I see that in the future, but I don't know. I see telepathy before I see that.
Well, you know, there's the thought that little girls have. I don't know if guys have it, but little girls do. And it's when you start to realize that angels are around, or your spirit team, and you're like, wait a minute. They sit around watching me pick my nose, or go to the bathroom, or take a shower, or have sex with my husband or boyfriend, and then all of a sudden this embarrassment comes up, and you know, you have to really look at that, and it might take a couple years before you deal with it, you know.
Totally.
But really, there is no shame in any aspect of us, and that's all part of that confusion that you said was given to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was given to us because
Forced on us.
Because really, the amount of magic that is happening in the body at all times is so staggering. If you were to make a list of everything that's happening unconsciously right now in your body, it would blow your mind. Yet we're so hard on ourselves because we went number 2. I mean, come on, everyone does it. I mean, everyone does it, you guys. Sorry to tell you. I mean, it's like when you buy that doll for your daughter and she's like, you know, the thing, you know, pees and poops. It's like, yeah, that's what the thing comes with. That's how the thing operates. So just, angels are fine with it. They've been dealing with it before you knew they knew.
Yep. Yeah.
But so do you want to open it up for questions and maybe give it another 10 minutes, or how long do you want to go tonight?
Perfect. Yeah, let's give it another 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
And that would be a perfect time to wrap up, and that way it's not too long, and we can do this again. This
I love it.
is great. Yeah. So, questions. Anyone got questions? So Ronnie says there's a nudie section on the beach at couples resorts in Jamaica.
Have you ever been to a nude beach?
No.
I have, yeah. Black's Beach in Southern Cal. I didn't know it was a nude beach. I was like, oh, this looks like a cool cliff to hike down.
Okay, so Miss W says, how do I access my feminine third eye?
Ooh. Is this a woman or a man asking the question?
Don't know. Woman, because it's Miss. M-I-S-S.
Okay. How do we access our third eye? So I think it's a lot of exercise. I think it starts with visualizing. So if you think of the third eye almost as being the projector through the eyes, right? The projector is creating the movie, but it's usually observing. So when you observe the 5D, you're observing through your third eye. You're activating your third eye just out of practice of having a visualization. Someone might say, well, how do I visualize, or I don't visualize, or I don't see that? You know what I mean? Then start thinking of what you want to manifest and take notes. Because again, putting your third eye into action to activate it, you really do need to start using it and trusting it, because then it becomes a part of your reality. Real, because it's creating the real. They call it a reel for a reason. You know what I mean? It's creating the movie reel of your life. When you surrender to your third eye knows more of what you need to work on, or what you need now, or where you're operating. So for me, again, I just went into a deep meditation and I started saying, no, show me where I am in spirit. Where am I? What am I up to? Who am I around? Am I happy? Am I sad? What am I up to? That in and of itself, if you start trusting that it is real, We'll take you through the aisle of real, which is the third eye. Do you have any advice for how to give visualizations? Because you've always been given that gift too. I think everyone has it. If you can have any fantasy, you can visualize.
You know, Kid and I have met a few that cannot, no matter what, visualize. But they feel, they hear, they see. And this person, even though they don't visualize, they have such vivid dreams that they wake up just to rest.
Mm-hmm.
Because the night is so exhausting, but they can't visualize.
Well, they should get up and jot down their ideas then, those dreams. Are they good dreams, bad dreams?
They never shared them, I don't know.
Mm. That's another one where if you set up that spiritual trust, it'll shift your dreams. That's just what's happened in my experience. So by placing my 5D or my spirit body in that trust, I started to protect everything coming through. You know what I mean? It's almost like fine-tuning your radio station and saying, like, from now on, I don't want to get anything from these stations. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not your radio station, your radio, because you're like a radio with dials. I mean, you can go, you can send your consciousness anywhere you want, guys. Do you know the power of that? Let's talk about that for a second. This is third eye too. This is third eye stuff. I could send my consciousness into your subconscious, have an entire conversation with your higher self, and you won't necessarily know it, but I had good intentions and I was here to communicate with. And if you wanted to stop or block that in any way, you can by setting up your spiritual trust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could send my consciousness deep in my body and unwind tension. So I'm sending my consciousness into my own microcosm because I'm the goddess of my body, my microcosm universe, you know? So if I just scan my body and say, what's tense, what wants to unwind? And then when you feel that come down, it feels so good. And you're like, oh, I have victory. I can send my consciousness deeper through the nervous system. I can send my consciousness deeper, right? You can send your consciousness into the macrocosm like Ishmael has done. There are people that use traveler stones and send their consciousness to whole other dimensions or realities. You know, there's so much you can do with your mind. Mm-hmm. And it's where you shine your light, your focus, that you're doing the work. That's powerful stuff.
It is very, very, very powerful.
I've even started practicing telepathy where maybe I did something, like I'll just share a story. I was even told by my spirit guides, you need to get in and start teaching telepathy 101. And I'm like, okay. What? What? Israel. Anyway, so what we don't realize is we're constantly contracting with angels to have experiences with other people. So you have angels, I have angels. They're talking to each other. I'm talking to you through consciousness. And we say, you know what, Candy really is resonating with me. We should do a show together. Well, that's usually through telepathy initially or through angels initially. It doesn't initiate from just nowhere, right? But when it does start initiating, I could give you, via telepathy, 3 ideas for shows. I could literally start premeditating. We could talk about this. Or we could talk about that, or we could talk about that. And I'm basically just allowing you to operate in free will, but it's happening subconscious or unconsciously for you. And what you don't realize is I've actually just prepared you for our entire interview. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We can be that consciously aware of our intention. And obviously we want to use this for the light. We want to use this knowing for the light. But I guess a better example would be one time I got up on stage and I was talking about something and I didn't give credit to someone. And I remember coming off stage feeling really bad. I was like, shoot, would he have wanted me to give his name? Did he want to stay in the private? I don't even know, you know? So I decided to go in telepathy because I started getting nervous because this guy, he tends to lose his temper. You know, and tends to get a little angry. So I started getting nervous. Oh man, he's going to call me and yell at me. And so I thought, well, that's one scenario. But by being afraid of it, I'm creating that scenario. Mm-hmm. So how about instead of being afraid of it, I give him 2 other options. The second option is, oh my gosh, you just, finally got that information out. That's amazing. Or third option is, you're going to find true love out of it, because he has this girlfriend, because they're working like in tandem on this stuff. And I was like, oh, or he could be like, my gosh, Miki set me up with this girl and I'm so happy. You know what I mean? And so I basically gave him these 3 scenarios via telepathy. And then I said, okay, I give you the option of the 3 scenarios. I think you should choose the best one. So I told him in telepathy. And sure enough, he chose the best one. So here I could have created animosity between us through telepathy out of fear of how he might react. Instead, I glorified him in telepathy, and then I gave him an even better option to see the silver lining in it. Yeah. And he chose the third one. That's when I started knowing, okay, this is working. Whoa.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good one. Okay, so can we circle back, girl?
Yeah.
And circle back to visualizations. You have memories and daydreams, right? You see a picture in your head and you start to draw it. Those are all visualizations.
Yes.
Those are all tapping into the what's that called? The Akashic records.
And the angelic realm.
Yes.
The 4th dimension.
You've been lied to and told that you're just remembering things.
No.
Exactly.
All creativity comes from the 4th dimension, comes from the angelic realm and or your Akashic. And so you're remembering, but they're also constantly moving forward and back in time. So you're being given codes that will help the future. Mm-hmm. Help not only your future, but the future. So start trusting the codes coming through, because that's helping you see who you are, remember who you are. That's beautiful. That's my point, is I look back and I'm like, how do they come out with the Matrix at just the right time? How do they come out with the Greatest Showman at just the right time? So that I could be triggered just like this, just right now, just for this exact moment in time. It's because the angels can travel. They time travel to help you. They're constantly working. That's the universe. It's as if there's a river flowing in front of you and way behind you. Mm-hmm. Well, sorry. I'm saying in front of you as I point behind me. You know what I mean? And that's why future proves past. There's nothing random. Mm. We're divine beings.
Well, we had a total feminine energy night. And
yeah, we did.
For those men who were with us, we just love all over you. And so glad that you were here. And you have the feminine aspect of yourself too. You know, whether you're in touch with it or not, we all have male and we all have female. So glad you're here. And family, our sisters, we are just thrilled that you were with us tonight. This was a good conversation.
I think it was great.
Yeah. So why don't we, after the show, set up a time to do this again?
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be, it could be next week, it could be in 2 weeks. I mean, so whatever your schedule looks like. Does that sound good?
I have a lot going on this next 3 weeks. So, and I try to take notes and I try to, you know what I mean? But I don't always, I like to bring new information every time. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of one of those, I don't know why. It's like, a lot of people are saying, well, if you look at the news, it's repeating over and over and over and over to get the message across. So maybe I need to get over that and just start repeating myself over and over and over to get the message across. But I have like this weird, maybe I'm just observing it for the first time. Like, oh, I gotta always bring something new.
So
but that's probably not the truth, is it?
No, because think about as you were growing up and you would listen to your mom, how many times did she have to tell you something?
Yeah.
Or when you were training at a new job, how many times did they have to show you, okay, so let's go through this again so you can get it, and again, and again, and again. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with repeating, but here's the thing that I want you to remember, is that as you share these things, new aspects will come out through you. Because you're always guided by spirit.
Yeah.
And Miki, you are so amazing. Oh
Thank
my
you,
God.
sweetie. You too.
You're so
I
beautiful.
so appreciate you, and I so appreciate Kid. And like I said, I really am sending love and light to every cell in his body for fast and rapid healing. I pray and genuinely hope that he has the clarity of mind, you know, to know exactly what to put in his body at this time. And I know a lot of light workers out there are praying for him. So
Yes.
I send him all my love and light, my focus and my attention, because you know, I've been there. I've been scared like that. I've been at that point where I just didn't know up from down, you know, what to put in my body. As light workers, again, we came here to conquer and to become light beings. And a lot of us have dealt with massive symptoms in our lifetime. And, you know, so I was telling you about the sway test. I think everyone should hear this too, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Through my healing, which I've not talked a lot about, but through my healing, I really learned that that sway test is really the only way to know what's good for you, what your body wants or needs. So every cell in your body is always talking to you. You got to use your intuition. It is real. Let's repeat that one like over and over today. But if you hold the bottle, you know, whatever you're about to take in your hands, say, is this good for me? And allow your body to sway either forward or back. It will sway in the answer. A forward would be a yes and a back would be a no. And at least then you know, okay, is this going to help me or hurt me? And then you take out, you know, three pills and say, should I take 3 pills? Should I take 4 pills? Should I take 5? You know what I mean? Until you start swaying back. And that's where you get your yes and no. And every cell knows what it needs. We just haven't learned to listen to our bodies yet. Again, that's another one. You can send your consciousness anywhere. You can send it inward.
So you can also do a test too. Show me my yes to see how you go, or maybe you'll go sideways. Show me my no, right? Or that way.
Yeah.
Or maybe no is
Like the pendulum. Yeah. Oh, that's how we feel sometimes, don't we?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right, everyone. We're gonna let this beautiful lady go. She's got things to do, and we just, the HVU family, just loved having you with us tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Candy. Thanks for having me, sweetie. We'll talk again soon.
Yes. You don't have to stay on if you don't want to. You can pop off. I've got to figure this out.
Okay. All right, you guys. Love you. Love and light.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Ending video. And here we go. Mwah. Love you all.
Probably not going to want to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Always go with the choice that scares you the most, because it's the choice that's going to help you grow.
Wow.
I can't do negative today. Positive vibes.
Love you all so much.
Hey, best friend. Wait. To the person seeing this, I know you're tired. I know you're fed up and so close to breaking. But remember, you have strength within you even when you feel weak. Keep fighting, best friend.